What's up? You're off in God's country again, 2025 with Reid
and Dan is boy.
Also known as the Brothers Hunt, where we take a weekly drive to the intersection of country music and the great outdoors. Two things that go together like Texas and brisket.
Our Nashville drones and Bobby Bones. That boy talking about him a lot. And he's on the show next week. Brought to you by MeatEater.
MeatEater.
Yep.
George Birge. He's a killer. We talk about drones, maybe get into a little bit of that.
Maybe a lot of that.
He sings a killer GRAVORITE.
Ran into a homeless guy one time as a kid. Pretty interesting story.
That's right. Some dad talk. Just a good dude. Texan. You're really going to enjoy him.
George him.
Yeah. George this podcast.
George played the Gorge, too. He talks about that.
George played the Gorge. Big fan of jazz music. But anyway, you'll love this podcast. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around in God's country with us. Continue to give us those 5-star reviews. It's how we
need them.
It's how we put biscuits on our table for our babies so they won't go hungry.
How's that for conviction?
Yep, that's right. 5-star reviews.
If we don't, Ranella said he would come down here and blow turkey calls in our ears.
They don't use turkey calls
with
out there.
With a northern accent.
Follow us on all social media. Thanks for doing that. We got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
kind of viral
YouTube.
On TikTok. Watch out.
Be sure and hit that follow button, subscribe button. Keep up with what we're doing. Doing a lot of cool stuff. 2025 is going to be a big year. Hang out with us.
You bought anything on Facebook lately?
No, I haven't.
It's a great time for a Marketplace Minute. Well, I'd like to see what you've been searching.
Marketplace Minute? What do you mean I've been searching? On Marketplace?
Let's go to Marketplace.
Am I going to my Marketplace?
Yep, and then you're handing me your phone.
Ooh.
And I'll try to pick something out I think you would like, and you try to pick something out.
Okay, let's see what the first thing.
First thing at top is a pink gumball machine. Interesting. You've been looking for those?
Pink gumball machine.
Yeah, why is that on there?
Hit the refresh. Pull it down and refresh.
You haven't done it lately?
Yeah. We've got that Vacheron is sick.
Yeah, I know.
Vacheron Constantine.
Watches on there.
There'll be watches on mine. A guitar.
Snow jacket. Getting prepared for the weather. Supposed to come up this weekend. Dude, your phone is trash. It's not even pulling it up.
Some 4-wheelers. Let's go to...
I'm going to look in your actual search and see what you've been looking for.
This one just says top categories.
Oh. Entertainment center? You in the market for one of those?
Jordan, yeah, we're redoing the basement. How do you even look at what you've been looking at?
You just hit search up there. Saved searches. Do you have any of those? None. Oh, yeah, you do.
Oh.
Camper shell.
Deer stand. Redneck blind. Gibson acoustic. Millennium. Yep.
Accent chairs. PS4. You're in the market for a PS4? It's your saved searches. If you're wondering why it still pops up, you're not even looking for them, it's because you're saved searches.
I've never searched for PS4 in my life.
Indeed you have. Rubbermaid?
No. What? What would I want? What?
One filter applied. Let's see what it is.
I don't think you're on the right thing.
I'm definitely on the right thing.
I can't even get yours to pull up.
Yeah, well, that shows how interesting we are. We have not bought anything on Marketplace in a while, so when we do, we'll be back with Marketplace Minute. But until then, we'll just keep talking about the weird stuff you keep looking up, like Rubbermaid. Why would anybody need that?
I don't know. I have no clue about Rubbermaid. Here you go.
Swap back.
Yep. Camper shell. I hadn't even looked at camper shells.
Mine's just a bunch of watches and
dude. Yeah, you just looked up Rubbermaid. Deer feeder, Carrera Calibre, side by side.
I looked it up, dude.
Yeah, there we go.
It says that's what it says. I'm just talking about the weird one.
Thanks for hanging out with us in God's country. Enjoy George Birge. 2025. Here we are, back on the road. Thank goodness. We've done a few of the podcasts like from my basement.
Oh, it's been
a grind, dude.
It's been bad in the basement, dude.
I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to make the trek down there.
You're probably not.
Layer.
You're probably not, especially at 8 o'clock in the morning. It is a layer too.
Yeah,
there's a lot more deer heads hanging up. The ceilings are a little shorter.
Yeah, a lot of external
distraction.
If I close my eyes, I think I could smell it.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Dogish.
Yeah.
There's dogs coming in. Last one we did, they kept pawing at the door, so I'd be like,
"Yeah, the garage door's open."
Anyway, I'm on my
like,
knees praying, and it'd be
can't
like
do
on the door.
I was like, Merle, quit pawing at the door.
That's my house too, man. I got 2 of them, and you can't go anywhere without them. You close the door to go to the bathroom, and you see like a tongue slurping under the door, sniffing.
Bro,
like,
that's
what you
my
doing in there,
that's
man?
my
Like,
son right now.
Yeah.
My 2.5-year-old son will not get off mine, dude. It is. I love it, and he's so cute, man. If he was ugly, it'd be so much easier. But he's like super cute, man. He's like blonde headed, like and he talks cute, and everything's cute, man. But it's like
They're little shadows, man.
Bro,
I'll be on my phone texting or maybe social media or whatever, and all of a sudden there will be a head in between me and
same.
my phone.
He's just looking at you.
What you doing, Dad?
Same. They want to see what you're seeing.
It's the best.
It's the best and the worst. 3:00 this morning, he starts, nah, nah. And I'm to the point now, man. We got a baby too. We got a million kids. So that now I'm just like, I just wake up like half dazed, grab my pillow, and just go in there and sleep in there.
Yeah.
Just because I don't even feel like fighting the thing.
Eventually, you just gotta say uncle, right? Like to have any semblance of rest or life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like getting him back to bed for the next 30, 45 minutes. And then I'm in a weird spot when I go to sleep. So I might as well just walk in there. And
Griffin's going through a little sleep regression, like a 3-year-old. She's not 3 yet, but and my kids sleep awesome, man. They sleep through the night like usually, but the past few nights, been about a week or so, it has been, dude. She's just like, it like screams that you've never like, Daddy! Like you think something's wrong. Like, okay, I got to go in there and make sure the cabinet
Nothing's
hasn't
wrong.
fallen. No,
Nothing's wrong. Their diaper ain't even wet. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing is
As soon as you open the door, she's like, "Can I get in your bed?" I'm like, "No."
And people don't realize how resourceful dads are. Like when you need to get a sleep in, you need to get a quick 30.
For sure.
I slept on a dog bed. You know, you wad up a sweatshirt, put it behind your head.
Squishmallows now.
Exactly,
that's our
man.
thing. We got Squishmallows for Christmas, so I just like popping my head on a Squishmallow. How many kids do you have?
I got 2. Yeah.
2 boys.
2
a girl?
boys, and,
Okay.
and they're 5 and 7 now, so I'm through it. So a lot of that I've managed to black out, you know, because it's you won't remember a lot of that.
I keep hearing that, but I'm pretty
you
sure I'm
remember
going
the
to
good
remember
parts,
mine.
which is great.
Okay.
Yeah. But
black out everything
I'll
else.
trust you on that.
it's gotten a little bit easier, except this last week, man, when we had the crud running through the house, and that was.
I think
Everybody did.
the entire world did.
Everybody
or something.
did.
I even kind of went down rabbit hole-ish a little bit on some of those TikToks that are like, your whole family's sick, but it's not COVID, but it's not the flu, and you had it for a few weeks, and you still cough, and you're sneezing, but you don't know what it is. And
It's the government.
And the doctor does, and I'm like, man, this guy knows my life. And before I know it, I'm like, the drones are doing it. The drones are dropping down. You know what I mean?
The
Before I know
Chinese
it,
drones on the East Coast.
yeah,
I
man.
didn't know.
I got my tinfoil hat on, and
All right, before we go
the aliens
before we go any further, we can get back to this. If you don't know whose velvety vocals those are over there, BMW Pro-Am winning,
that you're excited about that.
double dadding of a couple boys, was named Billboard's Country Rookie of the Month. He's a Texan, a 2-time #1 song singing, Mr. GB George Birge out in God's country this
Oh,
morning.
tall, dark, and handsome.
Tall,
from
drinking
Tejas,
water over there.
dude.
Come
Yeah,
hang out with you guys more often. Man. Yeah.
we'll pump you up over. We'll gas you up over here, buddy.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Sorry we were a little late.
What a way to kick off the year, guys. The digs look awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
pal.
The lighting making everybody look pretty. We got
Dude.
an official neon sign here.
It's
on the wall.
official. We're pretty official.
It's legit in here, man. It's legit in here. We're not messing
official.
around. Where did you hit traffic this morning? Do you?
I always hit traffic.
Yeah.
I live out just northeast of town.
Okay.
And it just, you always got to budget 45 minutes when it should be 20 minutes. And it's kind of, you never know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something.
I think I had somebody in front of me this morning, and traffic was awful, and that's why we were.
Is this
15
what you're
minutes
mad
late.
at?
Oh, we can get into it. I mean, it shouldn't be because we always are mad at traffic all the time. If we did a traffic, maybe we should do a God's Country traffic report every episode and just bitch about traffic. What you mad at? Just tell us what it is, what you mad at. Is it your in-laws' kids? Might be your boss man or your neighbor's cat. Just tell us what you mad at.
I love
Just a little thing.
that.
Just a little
that's
thing.
what I needed. And I've actually, I came prepared because I, too, am mad at traffic, but I'm mad at the traffic in the sky.
Ooh.
I'm a airplane traffic mad guy right now.
Tell us about it.
I think, and I've actually put a lot of thought into this, I think that there should be some sort of, like, just like a gun safety class, like some sort of prerequisite course that you need to take before you're allowed to get on the airplane.
Okay.
Because those people, when you're in the last row and the airplane touches down and you
Oh,
got
this is a
30
common
minutes
thing.
before you get off,
Oh.
somebody's standing, they got their butt in your face. Wheeling around so you get the
You know they're
360.
farting. You know they've been farting for an
they're
hour.
crop dusting the whole plane.
Farting.
Or they're up and they're sprinting to the front of the plane because, you know, they don't got a connection or anything, but they're going
Right.
to be there before you.
Right.
Keep your shoes on in the airplane.
Keep 'em on.
Nobody wants to see your toenails.
Don't take 'em
right?
off.
If it is a fish, do not eat it on the airplane.
Agreed.
Especially a reheated fish.
Agreed.
If we're talking
I don't
salmon.
I don't
if
care
it's
if
a
it's
fish
salmon.
in a can,
I don't care
do
if it's
not
salmon.
eat it on
and
the
you're
airplane.
like, salmon, it should be good.
Yeah.
Don't eat it.
If you have to crack a can to eat it on, you do not eat it on
Doesn't
the
matter
airplane.
what's in
Yeah.
it. Don't eat it.
Really, unless it's a protein bar. Let's just keep it. Yeah.
If it's not a protein bar or a pack of crackers.
you can drink, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
But not too much.
No.
Don't get drunk. Don't get
Don't be
belligerent.
belligerent.
Don't
you
stupid.
can be happy drunk.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
talk
Be
to
drunk.
me too much, man. Like if I got my headphones on, I think a universal sign for don't talk to me is you got your headphones on, dude. Like if somebody has headphones on,
100%.
don't even do this thing. Do you know what time the flight lands?
If you make me take my headphones out,
I'm fighting.
and that sounds conceited, but it's true. Like, especially we're always taking the first flight out, right? So I've woke up at 3:30. I'm not a happy person when I wake up at 3:30 in the morning.
neither.
Get that.
To go get on a 6 a.m. flight.
Oof.
Like, let me put my hat down and put the noise canceling on. I will say, noise canceling headphones.
Game changer.
If you do
I
not
keep
have
hearing
them,
that. I don't have them.
If you do not have them, you are living in the past.
It's like $1 billion though.
It's the best $1 billion you've ever spent.
Okay.
Baby could be screaming. Yeah.
And then when he goes there, you're like, oh, okay, man. I can make it work.
Are you ever in the? I'm assuming you're married.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
random. I mean, look, people have kids.
The
that aren't
kids and the
married.
ring
Hang on.
and yeah.
People, I didn't see the ring. Sorry. Respect the ring. You ever put them on in the car?
The headphones?
Yeah. Because I feel like my wife would be like,
I feel like that's like maybe a little dicey, just like if your
Yeah.
kid's screaming in the back and something's going on, you probably need to know what's
Well, not if your
going on.
wife's in the car. Not if your
Yeah,
wife's in the
true.
that's
car.
what I'm saying. If she's in the car with you,
Road trips, dude, I'm noise
Road
canceling.
trips,
I got them on.
100%.
For
Yeah.
real.
If I got backup,
And
yes,
sometimes
100%.
this is just she's learning this right now. Sometimes I ain't even listening to nothing. I just got the noise canceling on, and it's just quiet.
Yeah,
in my
that's what I'm
headphones.
saying.
100%.
No, like sometimes, like usually I'm listening to a ball game or a podcast or something like. But
I wonder if I should get.
There's a
Cheyenne
little.
some for
I'm mostly
birthday.
listening to country music, but there's a little station too called Jazz in the background. If you want to class it up a little bit, feel like you
Oh
are
my
somebody,
gosh.
you put that on.
jazz in
Classy
the background.
Birge.
Yeah, everybody else seems like lower than you when you listen to jazz in the
Pour in
background.
a little.
Yeah, that's
Pour in a little Merlot. Just put on some classy jazz.
Oh, that's
Miles
great.
Davis.
my drummer. He has one of those woods like survival backpacks that's got like all the little things, and one of the things is a rescue whistle that comes on the clip. So
Right.
he's got the rescue whistle, and he always travels with his backpack, and so he actually he'll blow violations on you in the airplane if you're standing up too early. If you're running up to the
beautiful.
I
front,
love
it's
that.
the best, man.
Beautiful.
It's the best.
Does it get their attention though?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's about 6'4"
He should put
with a big old beard too.
He should put a yellow flag in his pocket
Yeah.
and just throw penalties on people.
For Christmas,
Like,
I wanted to get him a ticket book so he could write some tickets for it. Violations.
Dude, it is annoying. And how do you at this point, man?
dude, airplane etiquette 101, man.
how do you not
gotta take
know?
it.
But how do you not know at this point?
Some people have to be told, and
Disagree.
I
I
don't
agree.
want to be the one to tell them, but I will be.
I think you're telling them.
Yeah, that's
Thinking
a
in the
public
process.
service.
And let's just be real, man. We live in a world of a lot of idiots, dude. There's a lot of idiots out there, man, who are just selfish and care about.
Is the world getting dumber? World getting dumber, guys?
100%.
No doubt.
100%.
Ain't no doubt.
Just want to make sure it's
this right
not
here.
just me.
This right here. That's why it's getting dumber.
You know what? I had an epiphany, a couple of weeks back, and it was just one of those things where it was like, hey man, just because it's a consistent thing that happens to me. It's just because you read it does not make it true, man. It does not make it true, bro.
The Earth is not flat. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure it's not.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's not.
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Don't know for a fact, but pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
We kind of know for a fact.
But I feel like, to me, that is the smart guy now. The smart guy is the guy going, I mean, this is what I know, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the drones, dude. Let's just touch on the drones for a second, all right? You got these drones flying over New Jersey. I saw Bobby post. Did you see Bobby post?
Oh, yeah.
He's tore up about it. He seems a little tore up.
Does he think it's the Chinese?
I don't know what he thinks, but
Because it's the Chinese, just so you know.
But what I have done is my research, which consisted of one podcast and a couple of Instagram posts that I read, which is now considered research, I guess. And the smartest guy that I heard talk on it was like, we don't know. We have an idea, and somebody knows. Like the government knows.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd just be shooting them down.
Government knows for sure.
Government knows. So
could be the government.
Probably is.
Probably is, yeah.
But I mean, and it was the best theory I heard. He was going, look, man, if it's China, we essentially got a world war on our hands because, like, that would be them kind of surveying us.
Just seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah. And like, we're not down with that. We'd already shot them down.
But I do think that we're probably always spying on each other.
For sure.
No doubt.
So
It's
like,
2025.
I don't think it's like super new, maybe just a new way of spying on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully nobody's pulling any triggers, but yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't love being spied on, that's for sure.
Oh, I love being
Let's talk
spied
about
on.
what's the order of fact. Like, okay, encyclopedia. We can
you're
mark
talking
that
about
as fact.
Yeah.
When you said podcast, that's pretty official. But like, are we like, if you heard
Bro.
it on a podcast, can you say it for certain?
No.
Yeah.
What? We mess it up. We lie on here all the time, dude. I probably lied since I've been on here today.
Absolutely.
But what you have is the repeating of misinformation that just gets. This was a real cool theory.
You got title readers, right? Too like people don't do any research. They just see
you
see
get
a
the
title.
Inflammatory headline.
Yeah, they're like, hey, did you hear about?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about the
Yeah.
drone? Yeah, it's like, hey, did you hear about the drones flying over the East Coast? It's like, oh no, tell me about it. They're like, oh well, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's all I know. It's bad.
Let me
I just know there's drones.
Let me
on the
just
East
say
Coast.
this. This is
And I've heard it was China.
this is a podcast that specializes in
Easy.
what? Should just talk about. I should shout out the podcast.
Oh, I know, but specializes in what?
It's the blurry podcast. Blurry faces or blurry creatures.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our podcast.
No, what? We don't talk about anything smart.
Okay, just keep on going.
So anyway,
very true.
It's Aaron Rodgers' brother, and you remember Luke's told us about
Oh
this.
yeah, I haven't listened to this.
So
one,
so I started back. I'm back in the gym. I'm back. 2025, trying to stay alive.
Let's go.
So I was like, I hate working out. I hate
It's the worst.
all of it. Do you like it?
No.
Does anybody like it?
I like how I feel afterwards.
Not me.
I think if
Yeah.
people say
Feel tired.
I think if people
Really?
say they like it, they're lying.
Okay.
I do. I feel like they're lying. I feel like you can like it for like a week, but if like you're going on 6 months of working out every day or 4 days a week, you don't like this.
Playlist matters a lot. Too,
See, but
right?
and I would assume you would be the same way because we're in music so much. Are you not just kind of like, man, I'm kind of tired of music?
I listen to super out of genre stuff, right? Like
Jazz in the
heavy
background.
Rap. No, not
Miles-
jazz in the
Miles-
background.
Miles
That's my flying playlist. Yeah.
Jazz in the background,
Yeah.
Birge, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so if you were to pop on, and I'll get back to what I was talking about, but your playlist, what's your go-to to?
Yeah, it's gonna be like Mexican OT and Big X and Plug and
come on,
Drake and like
dude.
I'm gonna
Okay, yeah.
pretend to be somebody I'm not for a second.
I like that.
Yeah.
I guess I
Louis
kinda do.
Vuitton.
Like
umbrella
all
on
of a
the
sudden I'm
bottom
a
of the ring.
mob boss with a chain, like
Yeah.
selling drugs. Like,
Yeah.
come get some.
Yeah, I'll be listening to some Future up in them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
feel that.
Yeah.
Rock some Future.
You know what I do?
Big
In my-
X
Whipping chicken in the kitchen,
like-
getting bread
like
like cane.
cane.
Yeah.
for sure, man, for sure. OT.
Bump,
Mexican OT,
bump.
dude.
I've been my workout consists of me and Dan were talking about this the other day. He was talking about how much he was benching and stuff, and I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Actually, I was talking about how much I'm not benching.
I'm pretty
it is
sure
weak.
I will-
I'm weak as well.
What's
water.
weak for you right now? You're a stout guy.
Well, yes, and normally it would, but I mean, I just started back. Okay, I'll say this. Let's see, what is it? 8 months ago, I was doing 3 sets of 10 with 305.
Shoo.
Now I'm doing 3 sets of 8, maybe 10 with 135. Weak, dude.
Step
Weak.
one, baby. Step
Dude,
one.
That's what 8 months like.
I
It'll
am
happen.
below. I am below. Like, I mean, wait. Is it 140? What is it when there's 245s on the?
Yeah, 135.
Okay, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yes, what I'm doing. So I did that yesterday, and I was like, I'll just to get myself back. I'll just knock out a set, 3 sets, 10 with 135. And dude, I got on that third set, and I was like, and I was looking around like, God, I hope nobody's looking at me. Like, this the weakest.
Because you don't want to ask for a spot on that.
Shit, no.
Yeah.
On 135.
You might as well go home
one
if you
plate
ask for
on.
a spot
Yeah,
on
dude.
it.
I just repped it out, quit at 9, and was like, 10,000. But, dude, man, it's amazing what happens to you when we had a baby, and I've just been sitting. I've just been sitting, holding that baby for 6 months, bro. And I've been on this weight loss thing where I've been trying to lose. Like, I've lost.
You got to do this where you're holding the baby. Just hold the baby in one arm and just start doing this with it.
I feel good.
Switching
I
around.
feel good, but I'm ready. I'm ready to feel better. And I'm 40 something, man. So it's like, I'm just trying to live. You know what I'm saying? I don't care nothing about like looking good or none of that shit, dude. I just want to stay alive. 25, stay alive.
Dude,
for
you
your
know
boy.
what the game changer is?
What?
For me this year at least, especially being on the road. And it is a little bit of like sadness in a rapper. But the RX bars, man, they taste like a eraser and
Cardboard.
They're like this
Cardboard
big.
with
But if
salt
you
on
just
them.
like force
Eraser.
yourself to eat one of those, you won't be hungry anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like eggs and nuts and berries
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. And it's like, dude, life changer for me.
Huh.
Just mixing one RX bar a day.
Well, you know,
The first
Are
week
those
sucks,
the, are
but
those
then,
the
like,
blueberry and the black ones that we got?
Yeah.
I kind of like those. They're a little chewy.
I
little chewy.
beg my band to eat them with me, and everybody's like, "No, you're good, dude. Those are yours." Like,
Really?
I'll buy it for bus stock, you know,
Sure.
and then I'll come back and there's still the same amount left.
The Costco.
No,
yeah,
it's just me.
I
Yeah.
do like, well, I have been doing eggs in the morning, and then I call her Jumps. Her name's Jordan. She gets these flats of the Fairlife
Oh, the protein shakes. Yeah,
and I just keep them in
Those
my
are
truck.
those are jam.
that's liquid gold at Costco. You find one of those, like you load up the pallet with that.
That's what
Ain't
she
no
does.
doubt.
That's what. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm too cheap to buy a card because I know that she goes. So I'm just like, hey, $50 a year, and I can't do it. I'm that cheap.
After like my 5th time of like feeling like Mission Impossible trying to break into Costco with my wife's card, because first you try to just like scan it where they
Wait,
can't
you
see your
can't
face.
go?
They're getting. Yeah,
You
they're getting.
can't go with your
they're locking-
wife's
But
card?
it
They're locking it
pops
down
up
now.
with your face on there.
Damn.
And it's my wife's face, obviously. And I'd be like, oh, she's in there. I'm just meeting her. And they'd be like, no, she's not. How'd she get in already? Oh, she got on her phone already. But after my 5th time of just getting sweated down, I finally I was like, I can afford a Costco.
So y'all got 2 memberships? I feel that.
Well, I think it's like the family thing, or maybe it was even that I just had to get like pay to get my card printed or something. But
Gotcha.
I'm always like path of least resistance. I don't want to have a Costco card.
Feel that.
But here we
Same.
are. Here we
yeah,
are.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And now that I do have one, it's a powerful feeling.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
So the guy on the podcast says that drones are actually the size of like these drones are the size of SUVs, and when you put a light on them, they go dark. Okay, so they're not they don't have any like evidence of them like zipping off like UFO-ish, right? It's just they just basically if you shine a spotlight on them, they'll go dark, which is kind of creepy. But I gotta know. This guy says it's some sort of like governmental foreign intelligence outside kind of thing, right? It's a really good podcast, by the way, if you want to go check it out.
The size of an SUV is crazy.
Crazy.
It's like a hovercraft at that point. Or
Crazy.
something, right? Like, yeah.
He said that there are people that have personal drones at this point that can literally just hop in and they can fly them around. Now, they can't go into like
Yeah, I've
FAA
seen that. I've seen
airspace.
that.
You've seen
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm. And that's the stuff we would dream about as kids, right? Like a flying car, basically. At that
Yeah,
point.
Basically,
the,
flying
the
car.
Jetsons, dude.
Yeah.
That little pod. Yeah.
Is that Simpsons? Damn.
No, that's Jetsons.
No, you nailed it.
That
Was it?
Yeah.
Feels like Simpsons to me.
Meet George Jetson. That was it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
George, that's
right.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway,
Are you still talking about the drones?
anybody been on a drone lately? No. Come on, man. You're an artist. They ain't taking you up in one?
No, I bought a drone. I crashed it the first day I had it.
First day?
Yeah, that stuff's hard to drive. You got four things you're steering, man. Yeah. I don't know. What
This-
might I do with a drone too?
yeah.
Like my dad about got kicked out of his neighborhood because he's flying drones in people's backyards.
Oh,
Look at
nice.
it. It's like, look at that pool there, son. We get one of them. Like, yeah, I'm like, Dad, people don't want your drone.
We've had people.
in the
We've had
backyard.
people on
Chill.
here that like shoot them down and stuff. I mean, like if they're close enough, you know, they'll pop them.
If somebody drones my house, I'm definitely shooting.
It does feel like drones.
Also, if you shoot one of those giants down, it's now they can take you to jail. Straight up. So don't shoot the big ones down.
Did you see the video of the guy in Florida? He's like an older retired guy. Drone came in his front yard. I think it was like an Amazon delivery drone or something. Shot it down.
Popped it.
Shotgun.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Sat out front. He said, baby, have dinner ready for me when I get back. He stuck his hands out, told the cops to
So they
arrest
cuffed
and
him.
like, yeah, they
Cuffed
cuffed
and
him.
stuffed, dude.
Cuffed him, stuffed him. I think he was proud to serve a little jail time for it. He's
Sure.
like, yep, shot it.
Shot
Only
it.
took me one trigger.
It does feel like drones are a new, like not new, but they're getting to be like a thing, right? Like even in the hunting industry now, like where it was you called a dog to trail a deer, if like on a blood trail or something. Now they've got drones that are thermal imaging, and same thing, they're huge, but they'll go up and somebody's just sitting half a mile away and they can fly it over your property and find your deer that's been shot and has deceased. And now they're doing it where you can, on the program, you can like lay out your property line, and that drone will take the most efficient way across your property to read your deer herd, and it'll tell you how many does are in there, how many bucks are in there.
How much are they? How expensive are they?
I mean, they're $30,000.
I could see the value in that too, man.
Me too,
Especially,
honestly.
I mean, I got lost on a big old ranch in Texas when I was 16. Shot my biggest buck ever. at
Bro,
dusk.
can you tell us this
Yeah,
story
this
a little bit?
was-
That sounds crazy.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, might as well.
This was probably the wildest, and I mean, this is hunting 101 for kids.
What part of Texas?
Let your buck bleed out, right? Like give it some time.
Sure. What
tell
part of
me.
Texas
And,
was it?
I almost messed
this
that up
was,
last week.
This was Winters, Texas. So kind of southwest Texas. And I was 16. We went out to my buddy's ranch, and to this point, I really hadn't killed like anything of note. My dad was super notoriously cheap growing up, and so like
Same.
we'd get to go
We
like
have same dad.
piggyback on other people's ranches and
Same.
deer
Yeah.
leases and stuff. And Dad wouldn't buy a feeder or wouldn't buy a blind, so like we had a ground blind, which was like a live oak branch that he had pulled between two trees, and
Come
two
on.
folding chairs is where I shot my first doe off, or it was a spike actually off a folding chair.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm
And,
talking about.
Yeah.
That's our kind of guy right
I'm
there.
pretty sure we skinned it with a Swiss Army knife that he still has.
Done that before.
But like that was my initiation to it. But in Texas, there's a lot of big money guys with big ranches
Yeah.
and stuff. And so one of my buddies that was real well to do invited me to his ranch to go hunting, and I'd killed a couple deer, but I hadn't been through like real hunting training yet.
Sure.
I just done what I considered hunting with my dad, which was like bare minimum, right? And
Sounds like it, yeah.
So
I was
it-
wondering why you air quoted ground blind, and now because it was literally
It's good.
just,
It
Yeah.
made sense.
just some limbs and a lawn chair.
And so basically, they drove me out to this blind, and they were like, "You're going to see some big buck. Take whatever you want." It was a really cool deal. You rarely ever get that kind of
For sure.
invitation, right? And
Right.
so this,
Is it like Sendero hunting, like
Yeah.
lanes and coming out of the
Yeah.
bush? Yeah.
so this big old 8-point, which at the time was as big a buck as I had seen, comes out. Beautiful spread, nice and symmetrical, just gorgeous buck comes
Yeah.
out, and it's right before dusk, and I end up pulling the trigger on it, and one shot goes down. 30 seconds later, I'm out of the blind, going to get it, sun setting. Right?
30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, just right.
Excited.
Pure
Got him.
adrenaline, high
Hell
school
yeah.
kid.
Excited.
I dropped it first shot. I thought I dropped it dead, right?
Let's go, yeah.
I get 20 yards away from the buck. It pops back up and it's gone.
Gotta
right?
love that. Yep.
Of course it did.
Sure,
right?
of course.
And so I trail it for about a half a mile, see it, pull the trigger again, and then I hit it, but it goes again.
Oh, he's blasting.
Yeah.
He's
And so-
panic blasting.
So now it's like 20 degrees outside. My cell phone, which was like a Nokia brick at the time, has run out of batteries. I've pulled the trigger twice. So I have one bullet left in my 270, and it is officially dark. And
You played too much Snake.
Yeah.
You played too much Snake in the blind.
Exactly. And I've probably walked a mile at this point. We're on 10,000 acres, and I have no idea where I am directionally. And apparently, my buddy's dad had come to pick me up at the blind, was like hammering on the horn on the truck, and I never heard it.
You couldn't hear it.
And no. And they had told me just before we went out there that there had been a cougar running around.
Oh,
So I have
beautiful.
one bullet in my gun.
Beautiful.
It's probably 10 degrees outside at this point now. It's
Cougars
dropping
lurking.
a
Cougars
hurricane.
lurking.
All I can think of in my mind is
For
there's
sure.
a cougar out here. And I have no idea where I am. And so I started to think that I was going to spend the night out there. I was starting to look at trees and like, what am I going to, sit against something? And eventually I found a barbed wire fence, and I just followed that fence for about 3 miles until I hit a highway. And I ended up hitchhiking at midnight back to
Come
camp
on.
because they knew the Chad Burns Ranch where we were at, took me back to camp. And my dad has never been more pissed at me in his entire life.
Dang, that's some survival tip stuff.
it
Find a
was,
fence and start
it was-
walking.
So,
So wait, did you find the deer?
the next day they went out and found the deer.
Beautiful.
There were some birds circling it, so
Oh,
it was
yeah.
pretty easy. But
Wow,
could have used a
man.
drone, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, drone would have been a lot
found you.
easier on that.
Yeah. I saw, I showed Cheyenne this the other night. I was looking, and And I was talking about, and we were talking about why, like, how much technology is good, if it's good or if it's bad, or, you know, whether you're into it or not. And same kind of scenario, except a 3-year-old had gotten lost.
3-year-old
They
kid.
couldn't find him in the house. They back up to like a 6,000 acre cornfield, right? So they call the fire department. This is what I'm glad at. I'm glad at this. I'm glad that this happened. So they call the fire department. Fire department comes, parks on the side of the road, and you can. The video is the drone, right? The drone looking down on the cornfield, and it's going swiping this cornfield,
dude.
And all of a sudden it catches just a little white spot, and it zooms, and you see what looks like I'm getting chill bumps right now thinking about it. You see what looks like my 3-year-old, like, going through this corn.
Goodness.
And then,
is it dark? Is it dark?
It's dark. Yeah. Oh yeah. Middle of the night. And then from the highway, he comes back out, and you can see. So the kids here, multiple hundreds of rows of corn, and then the road, the fire truck, a truck like what we pulled up in, and then you just see this white spot just sprinting through that corn, just knocking corn. It was the kid's dad, because the drone, he was seeing the drone. He was like, if I go straight, I'm gonna run it. And dude, you see the kid like, because you're seeing them both, right? The kid sits up and he starts he can hear him at this point. You can't hear him, but he's going through, and like you see him the dad come crashing through that corn, grab his son. And I'm like, dude, at that point, I'm like, man, God bless that drone, dude.
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like, it's good for fire departments to have it. And I mean, he possibly saved that kid. How else would you? Is there a more efficient way to find that kid?
No, that's amazing.
No, it's the most, and that's the thing, right? Like, that is the most, even to find a deer,
Sure, to find a deer.
That's the most.
Yeah, it's not comparable to a kid.
They may
Yeah,
make
I know
them
what
to
you're
drop bombs on the White House, but they're, you know, if they're finding kids in cornfields, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if a high school party gets busted and everybody's scattering,
Trouble. Yeah, wins and losses, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. We have droned it to death. I shared a heartwarming story and a sad one, so we're good.
So you're talking about Texas. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Austin proper.
Okay.
So born and raised there, which seemed normal to me as a kid, but I didn't realize until, you know, I moved out of Austin to Nashville and got to see the rest of the country, how cool it was to grow up in Austin while Austin was popping off.
Yeah.
You know, we were playing in bars by the time I was 14 with X's on Our Hand and 6th Street. It was such a live music town. The food was awesome. The people were incredible. And then the Texas Hill Country, people don't realize like how beautiful it is out there. You got lakes, you got rolling hills, you have like, there's green, but there's also, you know, desert. And it's just, it was a really, really cool place to grow up.
Have you seen the bats fly out from the bridge?
Yeah, under the South Congress Bridge over there.
Yeah, you remember we went to do that, and we went to Austin last year for the the Country iHeart Music
the
Festival.
iHeart Festival, yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever been to Austin. And so one of the things that said to do was go watch that. And there were thousands of people there to watch these bats, but like they didn't come out. It was like one of the nights.
I always saw a couple, but
yeah, but I'm saying
when
like
it comes, it's like 3 or 4 million, I think, that fly out from under the bridge. Yeah.
And they had
it's
the
insane.
boats floating under that were like the bat boats, and they were
remember
turning
the
around.
guy that was swimming?
There's a guy swimming across. That was crazy.
They were real mad at him for swimming.
Yeah.
Boats were
So are you you went to UT, right?
I went to University of Texas. Yeah. So I mean, growing up there, it was like
Sure.
you had to want to go to UT. That was like part of what I was ingrained with. So went to University of Texas. Walked on the golf team there, which was really cool. Joined a fraternity there. Met my wife there. So like, yeah, Austin had a big part of my coming up. Yeah.
nice.
How you feel like they're gonna? I don't know. When is this podcast airing? Or are we gonna? So yeah, we'll know when the podcast comes out.
Yeah,
we'll know what went down. How are you feeling about this? About this weekend? Ohio State's good, man.
I feel like we might be in trouble. I feel like this is going to probably be the best team we've played this year. I think we're capable of beating them. We have a ridiculous amount of talent. It's just a matter of like the small ball stuff looked really sloppy against Arizona State.
They did.
Special teams wasn't great. There were a lot of drop passes. There was a lot of kind of bonehead plays and. If it's the Texas that can button that up, we can win this game, and if not, we're going to get run over. So
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah,
everything
I like the take. I like that take.
Freaking Ohio State just looks good, dude. Like they just look like there's not a weak spot. I mean, and I've never seen them look like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to this point of the year, right? Like the teams that are left are all that.
Yeah.
Like they're all like.
Yeah, but there's some weak spots.
Oregon looked like they ran into a buzzsaw. That was everybody was talking about how they were going to come in and run the table, and they just looked like a deer in the
headlights. Outplayed. Yeah,
I lost some money on that. Shit.
Yeah, I love watching this. I love watching football, like college football especially, because like you watch games throughout the year, and you'll see some good games, and like defenses are playing okay, but like it's like anything playoff, anything postseason, like getting if you're playing for a championship, is the highest caliber level of athleticism and gaming that you're going to see. And just to watch these kids play right now, man, is so much fun. And especially the way they've done the playoff system this year and everything.
What's been really fun for me, too, is to see my oldest, who's 7, get into it. So, like, he's got a little Longhorn jersey now, and me and him will barbecue on game day.
Oh, come on.
You know, like, he got a little smartwatch for Christmas, and so, like, he'll call me to talk about football on his smartwatch, which is awesome. And it's just, that's the best. So, like, having a little wingman, like, get hype on game day with me, that has made it even more fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
What are you whipping up? What are you whipping up on the grill for game day?
Yeah, I heard you're a grill master.
That's like my favorite thing in the world to do. Obviously, Texas barbecue is pretty world renowned, and I started cooking when I was super young with my dad and my mom, and so. You know, brisket is probably like my thing. If I'm really going to show off, it's just a full day commitment, so I don't do it too often.
How long do you smoke it? How long?
I try to go just over an hour a pound, but there's also like I try to let it rest for 2 hours after I'm done cooking it. You know, there's prep time and carving it and all that stuff. So I mean, it's every bit of 15 hours.
Yeah, I'm a fellow smoker myself, but I've adopted the overnight technique, man.
I'm such a my wife calls me the park ranger. I'm always like fire, man. I'm like Smokey the Bear. So it's hard for me to let it roll while I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
I like to watch it.
Yeah. Traeger guy?
Ceramic grill?
Yeah.
Traeger?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
see, that's even safer.
Traeger's,
it is.
Well, it is and it's not.
You catch those grease fires on Traeger.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Greasy,
yeah. Especially with a big old brisket like that.
Oh, see,
if you haven't seen those videos, man,
I've never had a grease fire.
When they go up in flames.
For real?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah, if you get something too greasy and you don't have like a catch pan or something and it's dripping down on those.
I mean, I do catch pan.
Yeah.
And the Traegers come with like you can put one in there, but they also come with a runoff down to. But if you start getting greases down in that bottom compartment of that,
damn, now I'm scared.
You know what was a life changer on the Traeger the other day though was we did a venison backstrap.
Come on!
Oh my gosh, you cook that at 225 for just an hour. So
it's pretty quick.
Super, super quick. Like a black pepper rub on that.
Yeah.
Even my wife, who doesn't really like wild game as much, was like eating it like crazy, and it's like super lean, tons of protein. The flavor was insane, and I'm not usually like. Usually with venison, I'm probably going to do like chicken fried or, you know, that version of it, or do like a 50-50 ground beef where it's like making burgers or chili or whatever. Sure. But like that backstrap, it was something else.
Where'd you get your strap? Where'd it come
from? I got it from a buddy of mine, Brantley Gilbert's manager. He had gone out hunting. And,
great
dude. Yeah. So he brought some by the house after he'd gone. Yeah. He actually brought me some red stag backstrap also. That was.
Oh, but that was mean.
Yeah, it's good.
Dude, venison, period. And it's kind of like anything else. Like, if somebody doesn't like venison, then they probably haven't had it prepared the right way.
That's right. That's right. You can turn someone off of venison in a heartbeat.
Just like anything else, right? Like beef or pork or anything, chicken, like poultry. If you overcook something to the point of where it's not going to taste good, or marinate it wrong, or don't let it sit long enough, then you can turn anybody off.
Especially on that backstrap, I think people overcook it all the time.
Yeah, and if you get one that's like leather, it doesn't taste good. Or you let it if it stays in the fridge too long, throw it out. Like it's got that gamey. But if you cook it right, man, if you let it sit and you've got your meter in it, and you cook it to a 125, little light red internal, dude.
Duck too. You keep duck nice and rare, man. It's
no doubt.
Delicious. My dad's on a huge duck kick these days, man. Yeah, he's got me into it. So
y'all do some duck hunting?
I haven't done a ton of duck hunting. In Texas, it wasn't as common. We did a bunch of bird hunting, right? We would go like pheasant and quail.
Really?
Do a bunch of, dove hunting, stuff like that. But I didn't do a ton of duck hunting. It was mostly deer hunting and then pheasant, quail.
How do you cook your dove?
Man, I like that bacon wrapped jalapeno stuff.
Hard to beat it.
Undefeated.
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 Yeah,
You get a cold beer, wash that down, and it's about as good a night as you can have, man. Yeah.
What was it like for you growing up? What was like your outdoor experience growing up? Was it hunting? Was it golfing?
Fishing.
Fishing. Like what?
Man, I was just an outside guy. I love being in nature. So I was super lucky. My dad was redneck, early Austin, and Lake Austin, which is now like where all the rich billionaires live, was like the country before.
So you got a place down there?
Yeah, and so my dad built a house on Lake Austin in 1992 when we hardly had neighbors and a mailbox, and I literally would go out on the lake every day after school. So we had a canoe. I'd go out in the back by myself in the canoe. I'd go fishing. I had a dog. I had a little golden retriever mix, and she'd come out on the boat with me. Her name was Maggie. And,
of course it was.
Every day we'd go fishing, catch. I think I've caught every kind of fish you can catch in Lake Austin. You know, white bass, crappie, catfish, largemouth, smallmouth, everything.
Yeah, man.
Were you
It
going
was
by
the best.
yourself? How old were
Yeah.
you?
My dad started letting me go by myself when I was about 10 years old.
Okay,
He got
now
me a-
would you let
No
your
chance.
I know,
No
man.
chance.
Yeah, no.
I'm the same way.
I
What
think
happened?
about all the times that I almost messed up by myself.
For sure, but
The lessons you learned from that.
valuable.
Yeah, but it could have killed me. Like cottonmouth, copperhead that I like
Listen,
stepped over between my legs.
I'm hearing you.
Like
As a fellow dad, I'm hearing you.
ran into a homeless dude in the woods by myself. you know,
Okay,
like
now that one, that's a little.
Yeah, yeah, and luckily it was like that. And it was like,
hold on.
Yeah, I want
like
that story
that,
too.
right? Like,
yeah, tell us that story.
I mean, he was camping, had a fire, was by myself.
Wait,
and
what
kinda
were
like,
you doing in the woods?
I was on the the
being a
creek
kid. What
ran
are you
in
talking
between the
about?
woods, so I had docked the John boat and I was walking through the woods.
So you had
and,
been
like,
fishing.
Yeah,
You hop out.
just exploring.
Exploring.
Yeah.
Life lesson, just learning about
So
life.
does he
out there.
talk to you? Do
No,
you-
he kind of scurried. It was like because he was clearly camping on somebody's property far enough away that
Sure.
they couldn't see, and so he kind of scurried. But like thinking about that, I
could have
scared the-
definitely gone.
scared the fire out of me.
Yeah,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
And so thinking about that kind of stuff, snakes are, you only get one mess up with a couple of them. So that
That's
kind of
true,
stuff is, and they're mostly timid, but copperhead's a lot of testosterone.
I want to tap
Like,
into
It's
this.
weird,
I want
man.
to tap
Yeah.
into this a little bit because I'm dealing with the same thing. Like my wife, we live kind of out. Well, we live way out, and my wife is like, "Where's Boone?" I'm like, "He's fine. He's outside."
Yeah.
And we're inside, right? And she's like, "Well, what if?" And I'm like, "Dude, there's nowhere to go, right?"
Yeah.
And so like even when I'm mowing, he might be on his little 4-wheeler, 12-volt 4-wheeler riding around. The other day, he just cuts out through the field. And my first reaction was like, I gotta go get him. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. Why do I gotta go get him? I can clearly see him. There's nothing really for him to like get into, right?
It's the best.
And we would go, you remember we would take those 3-wheelers and go miles in the
Down the
river
river
bottom,
bottoms, yeah.
all the way to the river, get to the river, swim in the river,
Flipping 4-wheelers down there.
fish in the river,
Yeah,
run
getting lost.
out of gas in the river. And I think about like now, would I let my dudes do that? Or even Liza, like would I let them? And it's a little different with a girl for me, just because we're built to be terrified of that anyway. But that's what I'm saying. Like, do you feel like our kids are going to either A, miss out, B, be different, C, be a bunch of wimps because we're not going to allow
That's
them
such a good question,
to
and
go
I'm trying
bump
to
into
figure
homeless
it out.
people in the woods? You
I'm
know what
trying
I'm
to
saying?
figure out the same thing because I trust the kids and I do think like getting a little dirt on it, getting hurt, like figuring out stuff that you shouldn't do is really good for you. I don't trust people, and I think people maybe have gotten a little scarier.
Have they? I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, my thing is like, have they gotten scarier? But yes, probably. It's like, but we know
That's also
there's
true.
too many. There's too much information
You
out
see
there, right?
worst case scenario from
All the
across
time.
world
Yeah.
or a different
Everybody's
state
reporting
or
on that,
whatever,
right? Like,
every day,
million
right?
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I mean, because I was in the water every day and like
10 years old in the
stuff
water
that-
is young, bro.
Yeah, it's young. And I learned a ton from like figuring stuff out, like when you run out of gas, so the motor breaks down.
Yeah, man.
Same.
Or like we lived at a bend in the lake where it got really shallow. So like by the time I was 14, there'd be boats all the time coming through where they'd bottom out and get stuck. And
Right.
I'd be out there, take my little John boat out, jump in the water. I'd be waist deep, knee deep in mud and helping these guys like getting their boats out of the mud and stuff like that. And that stuff is good for character building and
Yeah,
figuring
man.
it out, man. Like Man, I'll never forget the first time I got leeches on my legs. That was terrifying. Or, man, we went and got chased by, first time I figured out swans were mean. We found this little island with a swan nest and came up on the island and went and looked at the nest and got just run out of there by a couple of swans.
See, dude.
And that is like, yeah, there's
You wouldn't have that story.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have those stories if your dad wasn't like, get the hell out of the house.
Because Dad would have never let it. He's like, you ain't going up there to look at the swan eggs.
Sure.
But yeah, when you're
But
out
you
there by
did.
yourself, like, yeah, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time I ran up on a hornet's nest, man. That was, just got ripped. That's,
Learning
man.
experience. Yeah. What's that saying? It's like let your kids do dangerous.
Don't stop your kids from doing dangerous things carefully.
Yeah.
I
And
like that. Yeah.
I adopted it just because it's like, monkey bars, for example. Well, dude, if my 5-year-old swings on them jokers and drops, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But if she's doing it carefully and not reckless, and I can kind of be there to, you know what I'm saying? Like, let her do it without just walking her through them. But if I can let her do, and the other thing was I don't know what they're called, but the metal things that are like a dome that you can climb up on.
Oh, yeah.
That terrifies me when they start climbing up on there. I'm
There's
like,
a million bones you could break.
yeah, just
right?
ping ponging down. You know what I mean? I'm like, but if they're doing it carefully,
I think kids need to fall off that stuff. I think I'm not saying they need to fall and break their arm or anything, but like last night, we were playing floors lava in my house, and my little girl slipped off the couch and she hit her arm, and like she's tough as nails, man. She's 2 years old, but she hit and she was like, oh, and she got up and she had like a strawberry, like a carpet burn.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she was like, oh, and I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, she was like, yeah, I'm okay. And I think like even letting them do those things and not overreacting and are you okay, baby? Are you like letting them get hurt and letting them see that they can fall and get back up. And, I just think it teaches lessons.
As kids acting different around mom versus dad when you got hurt?
For sure.
Oh, because I knew my mom was going to, give me a hug and put me on a couch and get some ice. And Dad, like, if I got a cut or something, he was going to go grab the rubbing alcohol and just pour it raw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Suck
it up.
Yeah, just rub some dirt on it, man.
yeah, totally different
You'd
deal.
be like, I'm fine, Dad. I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
Mom, you're
You know
like,
what I think about all the time was Lee Hill, fellow listener to this podcast. Shout out Lee Hill. When we were at Courtney's, our sister's.
Oh, yeah.
And his kids stepped on a piece of glass, right? And look, bro,
he was 6 or 7 years old at the time.
that hurts.
I would still scream.
I'd be
I'd
crying
cry.
my eyes out.
Mama.
So this 6-7-year-old kid steps on this glass, and he's doing the, ooh, and his dad's like, I mean, it is literally like sticking out of the toe or whatever. And it wasn't a giant piece, but it hurt, And I remember thinking, man, he's being kind of cold. But he was like, hey, first off, he's like, let me tell you what's happened. You stepped on a piece of glass. Let me tell you what has to happen. I have to get it out. Let me tell you, after that happens, it's going to hurt a lot, but you're not going to die.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm not. He's like, you're not going to die. And 30 minutes from now, you won't even remember that this happened. And he was like, okay, Dad. And he was sucking them tears back, and he popped that piece of glass out, and he wasn't crying. And I was like, that's a great example of our parents. I feel like Dad was not like that. I feel like he was like, ooh, that looks pretty bad. It's going to hurt when I pull it out. Shit. You know what I mean? There wasn't any like explaining.
Yeah, I think that's also assuming like a kid that's going to be thinking rationally too. Because like, there's been multiple occasions with my 5-year-old if I've been like, hey, you're not going to die. Like, yes, I am. I am going to die.
Right now.
I'm going to die.
Okay, he wasn't 5. He was probably 7, 8.
Yeah, I think so.
He was tough boy age.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. No, my 5-year-old dude, if she stubs her toe, for the next 2 hours, you're
going to hear about it.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about making my girls tough, but I'm definitely worried about my boys.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And we're all, it's all like in the moment, right? Like there's no this is how you do it. We're all learning how to parent as they're learning how to be tough and
we
grow
got
up.
a little creek behind our house, which was important to me too. I wanted the boys to like be able to do what I did as a kid and like just get up in it. You know what I mean? Figure it out.
Go find crawfish. Flip rocks over.
We go flip rocks over, catch crawfish together.
You know what you should do is you should plant like me or Reid out there as a homeless guy and
You want some candy?
And let us try to like, hey boy,
make the right decision. Yeah.
Did you see a weird guy, bearded guy out there?
that way you can say, hey, it happened to me too.
It's
And I'm fine.
All right,
just wading up the river.
Yeah, I'll come down with some ripped camo on. And,
Oh man.
hey boys.
All right, let's talk about music. How was your introduction to music? What was your parents?
My parents grew up listening to country music. They were
was it Texas scene or
Texas scene? They were on the forefront of the George Strait stuff. So when he was playing Broken Spoke and stuff like that down there in Texas before he had really made his break, they would go two-step. And so I think they took a lot of ownership in seeing that become the biggest artist in America.
Yeah, for sure.
And so my mom was a huge George Strait fan. Joked that I was half named after my dad and half named after George Strait. And my dad loved some of that outlaw stuff more so.
Yeah.
He was kind of a wild man back in the day, so he loved the Willie, Waylon, Merle, all those guys. And he had, I'll never forget, it was sixth grade. He picked me up in a new F-150. That was his new truck, and it was the kind that has the 6-disc CD player.
Oh
under
yeah,
the
the changer, baby.
And so that's if you're going to change a CD, you have to get all the way under the seat and figure it out. And to this day, I actually was just home 2 weeks ago driving that truck. And
Same truck.
Same CDs
Cool.
are still in the CD
Ooh, what's in there?
player.
What's in there?
So you had Leanne Rimes' Blue Album, which
yeah.
was that was a soft
Classic.
spot for Dad.
Classic, yeah.
He liked
Soft
that.
spot. We all got them.
Yeah.
He had
Background jazz for you.
Background jazz for you.
Background jazz for
Yep,
me.
yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
He had Waylon's greatest hits. He had Willie's greatest hits. He had Julio Iglesias because Julio was collaborating a lot with Willie at the time.
Okay.
So you get a little Latin flair in there.
Yeah.
And then Santana. So
man.
yeah, a pretty strong little mix
Strong?
in there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Strong.
that was a nostalgia shot for me, man.
That's his playlist, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those 6 CDs. 5
Shows
CDs.
you where the jazz in the background came from, man. Yeah.
When did you start? You mentioned earlier playing bars and start. When did you start figuring out that you wanted to sing, that you wanted to be in a band and try to chase music a little bit?
Chasing, not for a long time. Doing it because I loved it, as early as I can remember.
Yeah.
It was just, I loved to, I would sing in my dad's truck. I would just sing to the radio. I knew the words to every song on the radio. And that was our thing together. We'd listen to the radio. I'd roll the windows down. We'd sing and just drive around. And that was awesome. And then I started to have ideas of writing songs, but I didn't know how to play any instruments. And so I actually found a buddy that had been taking guitar lessons. It's probably 7th grade at this point. He taught me how to string a couple chords together on guitar, and then I was kind of off and running, writing songs. And by 8th grade, I was starting to write my own songs. And that was kind of when I started my first band. And Austin was cool because garage bands were almost like football teams in Austin. You had that camaraderie and support system, and you'd play in each other's bands, and we'd go, everybody kind of lived around the same neighborhood, and so you'd go sit in each other's driveways, and whatever band would set up in the garage, and it'd almost just be a tailgate hang. Sort of thing. And that was super special because I've never really seen another city that did that. It's felt normal then, but we all had bands.
I don't know if there is one. Maybe Seattle, as far as that punk thing back in the day.
And the other cool thing was original music was super encouraged. And people had patience to listen to original music even when it was not good. Because, we're 8th graders writing songs, right? The songs are horrible. But people would rather hear a song that you wrote, what you had to say, share that creative moment than have cover bands. So we had almost no cover bands.
Wow.
You might have a cover or two in your set, but everybody was writing original songs. And for me, that was almost cultivated my superpower of songwriting. That is basically what got me my record deal and got me to Nashville, was learning how to tell stories and learning how to write songs at a super young age came really naturally to me. And you kind of playing those sets in the driveway, you see okay, this song's connecting with people, or okay, nobody's listening anymore, that nobody really cared for that song. And it was such a really cool, genuine, organic testing ground, and a huge part of my come up as an artist.
Anybody else make it out that you were kind of crossing paths with that's still playing music today? Did you?
I would say right after college, there was a bar called Rattle Inn. So this is probably 20 years old for me. And Shane Smith and the Saints and I were we had dueling residencies. So like I would play one Friday and he'd play the next Friday.
cool.
And like we were kind of rooting for each other, and it was cool because our stuff kind of started taking off at the same time. So that was really cool to see.
that's
And I
cool,
always
man.
loved those guys. And actually a lot of our players would like sub for each other if somebody couldn't make a gig, because none of us were making any money. I think the Rattle In paid both of us. We'd play like 4-hour sets for $250 for the whole band. Like, it was
grind.
crazy.
Yeah, the grind.
See,
Yeah.
Brantley was on my grind, and so was Zach Brown. Those were like the bands that were
Wow.
that came up and did it when we were on the same circuit. It's pretty crazy.
Brantley was a big part of getting my start too, just because he was one of the first bigger artists to believe in me.
Oh wow, dude,
this-
what a good dude!
The best.
That guy is the best.
Let me tell you how
been
good
through some
Brantley
stuff,
Gilbert
dude.
is. I think I probably had like 5,000 followers on social media at the time. I couldn't sell 6 tickets by myself. I'm just starting my solo career. I don't even have a record deal yet. I've barely signed a publishing deal. And Brantley Gilbert took me to Red Rocks to open for him, direct support, back-to-back nights, sold out.
Wow.
And that was, I like over doubled my fan base in those 2 nights alone. I all of a sudden had all this social media buzz, like had people discovering who I was. And then Brantley proceeded to take me out on tour for about 2 months after that, just because he liked me as a person. And
He's a
believed
great
in my
guy,
music,
dude.
man, and gave me a shot like way before I deserved it, man. And
It's awesome.
you want to talk about a guy that can write a song and knows how to connect with his fans, like standing side stage and watching him perform and like tell stories and
Yeah,
stuff.
that cat knows who he is, man. Yeah.
And one of my coolest and earliest memories was at Red Rocks with Brantley. I had just finished my set. It was electric, like on borderline blur how fast it went by and how amazing it was. And I'm gonna make y'all use a turkey call to bleep this out,
Go
but
for
I
it.
gotta
We got a
get the
good one.
Brantley. The quote, it's justice. I'm standing side stage and I'm watching him. He's played like 8 songs. And Brantley takes a little smoke break in the middle of his set, right? So he walks side stage and he lights up a cigarette and he goes, puffs it out, looks up at the sold out crowd, looks at me and he goes, pretty fucking cool, huh? It's like, yeah, man, pretty fucking cool.
No doubt.
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah, we've been to Red Rocks and we went with Luke, and it's a different feeling up there, man. That place is just, it holds this ambience. It's a cool place, man.
The seating goes straight up,
Right.
and that's what the undescribable thing is. That it holds 10,000 people, but that 10,000th person in the back
Feels
row
it's right on top of you.
is still right on top.
Yeah,
of you.
it's true.
And they just are electric out there.
Yeah, that's a
It was
fun-
pretty special.
Have you played the Gorge?
I have played the Gorge.
How's
yes.
that? That's the only one I hadn't been to.
That is unbelievable. Also,
Man, we gotta go, dude.
as beautiful a countryside as you can see, and backstage that you're hitting golf balls off a cliff.
Yeah,
and
I was
there's
jealous about
it's
that. Jealous
it's unbelievable.
You made it was or just a post that said that you didn't have 2 nickels to rub together to two number 1 songs in a year. What's one of your best like broke as hell artist moments? Do you have one that comes to mind?
Gosh, that was just a life in general for so long, man. Trying to think of like
Yeah, I want a good
a
one.
specific example here.
Because, for instance, for us, like we lived on a houseboat, and would we didn't have enough money to go eat. You know, I mean, like we were moving furniture and trying to figure it out. And
I was umpiring softball games and writing songs.
yeah, man, and we were catching crappie underneath the boat and dropping Christmas trees that we'd find on the side of the road. So we'd have crappie under our boat and
We're eating
frying them out
roadkill.
there.
Remember that roadkill?
I remember a story that still kind of like makes my skin crawl when I think about it. But I had just saved up enough to buy a Sprinter, so I didn't have to drive my truck on the road all the time. And by buy a Sprinter, the Sprinter had 450,000 miles on it.
Okay.
You could basically see through the floorboard. Every single piece of it rattled, but I've never
But it
felt
gets you
more
from A
like
to
a
B.
king
Yeah.
than when I bought the Sprinter, right? And Scotty McCreery had invited us out to open some shows for us. God bless Scotty. What a good dude.
Good dude.
And I was like, all right, we're taking the Sprinter. First run. We're playing small town Kentucky that night in a theater. And it wasn't the second that we crossed the Kentucky line that all the lights in the Sprinter go, pew, right? And so the motor's still running. All the lights on the dash come on. Sprinter's German, so you don't know what anything means. And you're just kind of like, oh, man, here we go. Right?
First run?
First run.
Big
First
big
run.
shocker.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
And so
Somebody got
I
you.
drive it a couple more miles down the road, and you can tell the engine's going now. And so now we're like in nowhere, Kentucky, right? Which I don't know if y'all been out in the hollers before, but it's
George's from there. She's from the hollers.
Yeah, when you get out in the hollers, you're out there, right? And
She's Western Kentucky girl, not Eastern Kentucky girl.
This thing breaks down in the parking lot. Come to find out, it's the alternator. And there's, I think it was like Jim Bob's auto mechanic was the only thing we could find, right? Limp in there. And this guy comes out, and he's got 4 teeth, and his eyes are looking at different sides of the room, and he's like, yeah, I'll get you fixed up. And then he goes in there, and in 30 seconds he's screaming with the boss, and he comes back out, and he's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I just got fired. and I was like, oh man. So we go in there, and the boss is like, yeah man, he's been doing meth on the job or whatever. He'd been doing drugs and couldn't
If the 4 teeth, if the 4 teeth didn't tell you that,
shout out Kentucky.
Unfortunately, he can't get you in.
Yeah.
And then I go out in the parking lot, and there's a guy under the Sprinter that doesn't work for anybody. And he's like, hey man, I saw you broke down. He's like, I'd be happy to help you. And he's like, if you wouldn't mind getting YouTube out, if you can show me where the alternator is, I can change the alternator. I was like, man, if you can't find the alternator,
if you don't know where it is, if I gotta tell you where it's at,
right.
You ain't the guy for the job,
Right.
Oh man. And then we couldn't afford to have it towed back to Nashville either. And so we just left it there, and I rented a Nissan Kicks, I want to say. It was like a 2-seater, and we had all of our gear in the back, and we did a 1-week run with Scotty McCreery in a Nissan Kicks.
No
awesome,
way. How did you pack in? How did everybody
those
pack
stories
in?
are so great.
Ended up finding a fan of Scotty's, not of mine, because we didn't have any fans yet, that went to that town in Kentucky and fixed the alternator for us.
No
and
way.
we came back on the way back and drove it home. So God bless that dude. But yeah,
Dang.
when you
great.
got all your money in the car, you can't afford to get fixed up or
Yeah.
towed. It's a wild deal. Yeah.
But dog, you got to make it work, right?
Yeah, it's
you
exactly
got to
right.
go get the Nissan Kicks and go play the
Nissan
shows.
It was like $35 a day to rent. It was perfect. Yeah, and we got through it. So
Wow.
that is the grind. Yeah,
I think I actually still have a video that I posted, and I was out in the parking lot, and Scotty had his 2 buses there, and you know how a lot of us artists, we're all guilty of it. Like, perception is reality.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm in between Scotty's 2 buses, and I'm like, we're out here on tour with Scotty McCreery, and I just wanted to show y'all our beautiful ride, and I've got the 2 buses in the background, and then I pan behind me, and it's the 2 more Nissan Kicks.
The grind, man.
Yeah.
The grind.
That's awesome. But dog, here you are now, coming off your second number 1.
Oh my gosh. I kissed the floor of the tour bus the first night I got on it. Man.
Heck yeah,
it
man.
was, because that's a dream for any artist, right? To have
Yeah.
a rolling house on wheels, somebody else driving.
Makes it a lot easier.
Game changer.
Yeah.
And so, the first night we watched The Big Lebowski. We made White Russians at the bar, kicked our feet up, had somebody else driving. I was like, man, this is it.
Yeah.
I've made it.
Heck yeah.
And then I got the first bill for the tour bus and I almost cried.
Yeah. That hurts.
You got to book a lot more shows next
That's
year.
exactly right.
And it's still 18 wheels. I mean, it's
Yeah.
regardless of how you slice it, it's still wheels on the highway.
It's been awesome. And this year, touring wise, was a huge step up for us. We had a lot of artists kind of give us a tap on the shoulder. Getting out to go with Luke Bryan for the first time was
Heck yeah, man.
unbelievable. He's become a mentor and a friend, and put us in front of some of the craziest crowds we've ever gotten to play. And so it still doesn't feel real being out there, being part of that huge production, but it's been pretty special. We come a long way from the Sprinter.
Congratulations on all the
Come
success.
a long way. Yeah, good for you.
Let's talk about your new song coming out, or is it out now?
It's coming out the 17th.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know when that is. Sick. So it won't be long. Give us talk us through that. We've heard it.
Great.
So great, man.
Yeah, I think it's the most special song that I've ever been a part of writing. This year has obviously turned my world upside down. I had my first ever 2 number 1s. So it's like for the first time, people know my name, know my songs. Every time I get in my truck, I can hear one of my songs on the radio. It's been a really surreal year, but people don't talk about there's a lot of pressure that comes with trying to back it up. I've chased so long, my whole life, to be here. I want to stick around for a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
I love what we're getting to do, and there's a lot of pressure to kind of back that stuff up. And if I'm being honest, I was feeling a little bit stuck on what was next for me. I'd written 150 songs, and I'd written a lot of songs. I was like, man, that's good. But I don't feel undoubtedly this is my next single. And when I had written Mind on You and when I had written Cowboy Songs, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were the next single. And I hadn't had that feeling yet. My wife was kind of like, hey, if you don't feel that way yet, you don't have that song yet. And I'll never forget that morning, the morning I wrote the song. I have a friend in country radio, and she's been like a huge supporter of me from like the very beginning. And sometimes I'll bounce songs off her just to get a perspective from the industry. And I was like, hey, I called her that morning and I was like, hey, do you mind if I send you just like a Dropbox of 10 songs and see if you have like an opinion on what's next? And she was like, yes, of course, I'd love to. And I went in as soon as I got off the phone with her to write a song, and we wrote It Won't Be Long. And I called her back after the write and I was like, hey, you don't have to listen to those. I wrote the single today.
Wow.
Dang.
And that was pretty special. My dad had been in town visiting, and I think it was like watching the guy that raised me in the backyard, raising my kids the same way, playing with them, and like having all those flashbacks of like how fast life moves and how special some of those memories were that I got to be a part of. And it was a cool opportunity for me to like write about real life because I hadn't really like drawn the curtain back all the way. And so I feel like it's a big step for me as an artist. It's the most honest song that I've ever written. And I think a lot of people can just relate to like those little life vignettes of like stories of things that are real. And the other cool thing, I wrote it with some super close friends, Tranny Anderson, Chase McGill, and Joe Fox. And Tranny
love
and
all
I
those people.
have been friends forever. And she had asked me to write probably like 5 or 6 times before. And I had wanted to write with Tranny because I've been such a huge fan of hers. But my schedule was horrible and I'd just been missing it. And finally, she was like, hey, I've got this date coming up. I'd love for you to jump on. And I look at my calendar, and again, I'm booked. I can't do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm canceling. Something tells me I need to write with Tranny this day. And so I canceled the write that I was supposed to be on. I went in the room with Tranny, and it turns out Chase had canceled the write he was supposed to be on, and Joe Fox had canceled the write that he was supposed to be on, all of us to be in that room that day.
Wow.
We wrote the song in like 3 hours, turned it into the record label, and by midnight that night, it was declared a single and had an ad day.
Gee.
Come on now.
And I've never in my life had that happen
Yeah,
before.
me neither.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it's that kind of song, right? I mean, like it's that kind of special moment that like you're saying, like when you hear that thing, you feel something, and it makes you want to attack life a little bit.
I think it's the first song that I've ever written that is like 100% honest. I've had all of my songs thus far like inspired by real life, and you take some creative liberties and you kind of like make it into a story that's like commercial enough for people to resonate with or whatever. But this is the first time where I've written a song where like every single story in it is something that I've lived. There's a line in the second verse, it won't be long till you take a starter house to the studs. When I graduated college, I bought this house that was like condemned, holes in the ceiling, no floors, like just a disaster. Kara and I, my wife and I, were dating at the time. I took her to see the house. She cried because it was so horrible. And I spent 6 months with my dad, like fixing it up, took it down to the studs, redid the drywall, redid the floors, put a new roof on it. And then I brought her to the house again when it was done and proposed to her in the backyard. And she cried happy tears that time.
Nice.
But that's like a life memory that I'll never forget. And there was a pool table in the front room that had like cigarette stains because it was an as-is house. You kept everything.
Yeah.
And among other kinds of stains everywhere all over it. And she hated that pool table. But me and my buddies would, stay up late, howl at the moon, play on that thing. And that was when we had kids. We got rid of the pool table, and now there's a crib where the pool table was. And it won't be long till you're 7. Your last name's at the plate wearing 7 again. The first time I saw my kids with Birge across the back, and I was always number 7, and they're number 7 again. I mean, I got choked up seeing it. And so it's like all these little life pictures. And I think we wrote the song so fast because of that. It wasn't like we had to think super hard. It was just like grabbing memories out of the air and plugging them into a song. And so the first few times I played it live, I couldn't get through it without choking up because it's like, it's pretty real.
Yeah.
And I've played it enough now where I feel confident getting through the song, but it's a special one. It means a lot to me. Yeah.
We all have to write those other songs, right? Like all those other songs, the tailgate stuff and the commercial thing. But it feels like that type of song, and what you're talking about, the experience and drawing from life experience, like that's the kind of song you move to town to write.
100%.
And it is always an awesome moment when you realize you're about to get to write something like that.
It's fun as an artist when you can make music that you don't have to sell, music that you genuinely believe in, and like you don't have to pretend to feel any way other than how you feel when you sing it.
It's a good way to say
because
that.
we're in show business, right? And you want people to have a good time, and you want people to feel stuff. And sometimes it is theatrical, and sometimes like you have to get yourself in the mood or the zone to like put on this performance to try to make somebody else feel a certain way. And that's the job we have, and it's an awesome job. But when you don't have to dial anything up, when you can get up there and just be honest,
Just
and
mean
it
it.
hits you and it's real and you mean it, and it connects with other people too, that's why we moved to town.
For sure, man.
To tell stories that are real and make you feel something, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That is it. And occasionally you get that feeling of like, oh man, we might be on one.
Yeah.
As a writer, and that feels fun too.
There is no more nerve-wracking / exciting feeling when you get a hit chorus out and you're like, don't mess it up now. Like, you know, hold on,
two
right?
verses
Like,
and maybe a bridge to
we
kind
figure
of
it
bolster
out.
down the hatches. Nobody's going to lunch. Nobody's leaving early. Like, we're
That's awesome.
All
man.
we got to do is not mess this up.
What's next for you? What does 2025 hold for George Birge?
2025 is going to be awesome. We're going to go out and do some headlining stuff, which would be cool to see my name at the top of the bill for the first time. We're going to be doing a bunch of big festivals, so I get to do Stagecoach for the first time. We're doing Barefoot. We're going out and to do some dates with my buddy Dylan Scott, which will be a blast. Me and him got to be fast friends, and so that should be a really good time. And then some major touring stuff that hasn't been announced yet that might be the biggest summer of my life. So it's going to be really, really good. A lot of new music in the works. We're getting in the studio to cut some stuff, and then trying to be a good dad and a husband along the way, man.
Dude, that's great, man. Well, congratulations on all your success. Thanks for coming out.
I'm sure
That was important. That thing you had to say.
but it's the time of the show for the one that got away.
We got little ditties, George. We got little ditties.
I love it. The transitions, man,
Appreciate
the
it.
production value, and it's a tender little vocal on there.
Tender
for you
vocal.
boys, man.
And that was important. Well, everything that you were saying.
I was
don't-
trying to interrupt you.
Maybe we should write. Maybe we should write new ones for the second. This is season 2. You're the second episode of season 2 for the God's Country podcast.
Let's
Maybe we
go.
Yeah, you are.
Maybe we should get back in the room and write some new ditties.
Yeah, probably time. They all sound the same anyway.
We do this thing called the one that got away. It could be a deer, a fish, a song, a golf tournament, a shot, a putt, anything that got away from you. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah. We were talking about how I used to go fishing in the creek all the time.
With the
as a
homeless
kid.
guy, yeah.
Yeah, with the homeless guy and stuff.
Cool.
And I had caught the biggest bass of my life on Lake Austin, backyard, 8-pounder. And I wanted to let it go because I wanted it to, continue to make other 8-pounders, but I wanted to capture the moment.
For sure.
And so it was at the time of disposable cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I run upstairs and get my little sister. I put the bass on a stringer in the water. So, I mean, it's probably a half-mile run to the house. Get her, get the disposable camera, bring her back to the water. And this really hurt me because, I mean, this is 20 years later. I still remember this.
Yeah,
right?
beautiful. This is what we're looking for.
It's hurting me because I feel like
I already know
And
what
so
this
here
is,
I
yeah.
am, little 12-year-old me holding an 8-pound bass, the biggest bass.
Oh wait,
of
so
my
you
life.
did come. It was there
Oh,
when
I
you got
caught it.
back.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it
It
was
was
going to be
there.
gone when you got back.
I'm holding it up. Get my little sister to take a picture of it on the disposable camera. She wanted to be anywhere else besides taking a picture of me holding a bass, right?
She's like, "There's a
So she's
homeless
like,
guy over
"Oh,
here. I got to get out of here." Yeah.
Takes it, and I was like, awesome. This is going to be awesome. A week later, we take it to get developed, and the picture didn't turn out. And it was, it'll forever be my fishing story of the pretend 8-pound bass I caught.
Yeah, because nobody believes you now.
No proof.
Yeah.
Picture to prove it.
No
bud.
proof in
That's
the
it,
pudding.
man.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't think I caught a bass half that big since then. Yeah.
8-pounder's a stud.
That's a hammer.
That's a hog, man.
Yeah, it's a hammer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a 6+ when you hook one of those, man.
It's a lifetime
different.
bass. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
never
different.
know.
No.
Now
And
you
the truth is, it probably was a 4-pound bass. And in
Well,
my
no, it was 8.
imagination
It was an
You know what?
8-pound
I think it was a
bass.
9-pound bass.
That's
I
right.
think it was 9.
That's
actually.
right.
I think it was 9.5. I got to ask this before we do GRAVORITE. So being from Austin,
Yeah.
how do you feel, before I say anything, about the Blake Shelton song Austin?
About somebody being named Austin?
I don't know, because I don't know what the hell it is about, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah.
I have a personal vendetta against this song. And I'm just wondering, do you love the song Austin?
The melody's so good, man. It's so
Yeah,
good.
and that's pretty much.
I can agree.
And that's kind of all that matters, right?
No, that is not all that matters.
I mean,
at all.
Yeah.
on a song like
At
that,
all.
it is.
No, because
Hey, if
it's
this is Tuesday night, I'm bowling.
Yeah.
okay. But my point is, tell me what the song's about.
I think in the time of answering machines, it's a guy that is hung up on a girl named Austin. And
See?
I think
This is Austin.
See?
And I still love.
So does it have anything to do with the town?
But
if this is Austin, I think it's a girl named Austin. If this is Austin, I still love you. Is that right?
No, this is Austin. This is
Austin.
This is Austin. Look, she's back here shaking her head. What do you think it's about?
Okay, what do you think it's about? A girl from Austin.
I think it's a
But
guy.
is that
I
a
think it's
nickname?
the guy
Is
named
her
Austin.
nickname Austin?
He says,
Who's Austin?
And P.S. If this is Austin, I still love you. This is a guy in his feels. He's tore up. He don't want to talk to anybody about anything. He's getting through it, right? That's what I'm doing these days. He's going bowling. He's going fishing.
Yeah,
and
going
he
to
is
the boys'
sitting in the
and buddies' house.
darkness
Yeah.
by
Okay.
himself in his house. But if that little ray of light, Austin, calls, I'll talk to you.
But aren't they talking on the last call?
But back in the day, he didn't know who was calling, right?
This ain't your
he's
answering machine.
He's not going to answer. Oh, and then the big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
This ain't the answering machine.
Yeah, this is Austin.
and
I still love you.
So that sounds like he's Austin because he's leaving he's the one on the answer machine.
No,
No,
he's
his
talking
name's
to the
Dallas.
girl. Yeah, his name's.
Shoot me in the face, dude. That's
Great
what I'm
song.
saying.
Great,
Not a
dude.
great
I think
song.
you're in the
Not a
minority
great
on
song.
that.
Not
Yeah.
a great song.
Yeah, that's a minority.
I don't think so because we had mass confusion right then in this room from three different people on three different complete storylines. I'm not saying the song's not a hit. The song's obviously a hit. I'm just saying I don't know what the hell it's about. I can't figure it out. I've been a songwriter as long as I can remember. And when I look at the lyrics of that song, I get confused.
Dash has got an Austin song for you.
Does she? I'll check it out. It probably makes more sense.
Well, that was like the biggest song ever.
Yeah,
what
last
jumps?
year.
What? We've done this before, but I'm ready.
We literally had a segment on not believing what you read on the internet.
And I'm not sure they can hear
today.
you, but I'll say, according to Wikipedia,
The song tells of a woman
where he could be. It's not her name,
Is Austin.
but it's the town. She could be named Sarah.
Right.
But she's named Austin.
But he
called her Austin.
That's your name? Perfect. That makes sense.
All right, too long. Great song.
All right,
Hit song.
anyway.
Amy's back in Austin.
Huh?
Amy's back in Austin.
Indeed she is.
Blake Shelton, we love you. Come on this podcast.
Yeah, I would just, he don't know either.
It don't matter.
Come see me,
Blew up his career.
Come see me.
All right,
Jerry
Gravorite
Curl
song
mullet.
for you, George. We used to do greatest or favorite, and then we just put them together because it was those two like intimidated people. So Gravorite tune for you.
I think a song that gets me jonesing for a cold beer and a cigarette real bad would probably be Party Crowd, David Lee Murphy.
At a G.
I think that's a good spot for it.
Okay. How's it go?
She couldn't keep from crying when she told me goodbye. Lord knows it was breaking her heart as she was breaking mine. So for the sake of her feelings and the sake of my pride, I told her not to worry about me. Yeah, I'm sitting here soaking up the neon light, misery, looking for some company tonight. I'm looking for a party crowd, slamming them back and laughing out loud with a smoke so thick the blues can't hang around. With a jukebox jumping like it just don't care. They'll be dancing over here and fighting over there. I'm making rounds, looking for a party crowd.
George
Birge,
singer. Watch
GB.
out.
I'm gonna start calling you Jazz in the Back, Birge. Hey, dude, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, man.
What
It
a
was
fun
fun.
hang, guys.
Yeah, dude. Come back. Will you come back?
I would do this any day.
Thanks,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
We'd love to come
appreciate
see
you.
a show too sometime. I'd love to come see you
Y'all
play.
come out on the road, man. We got
go.
a couple
Let's
extra
go.
bunks on the bus. Let's go.
Let's go, dude.
I'm not doing that, but I will come hang
Nissan-
out.
change an alternator?
It ain't the Nissan Kick anymore. Y'all check it out. It won't be long. Check out where George is going to be on the road. Go see him play. The guy's a killer. Thanks for hanging out in God's country with us today.
So
man.
much fun, guys.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for
Thanks.
having
Come
me
back.
on.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Appreciate you.